The Tigers and Red Wings have made their new network official, and on the field, the Tigers prepare to head to the Dominican Republic.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by MLB The Show 26. Visit MLBThe.show/LockedOn and use code LOCKEDON to unlock a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Pre-order now, available March 17th on PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch, rated E for everyone. We are back. Hope everyone had a fantastic Monday and is having a great Tuesday so far. Today we are going to discuss what happened on the field. The Tigers played a spring game against the Braves. It was on ESPN, no less, so that was kind of interesting. We went from not being televised at all to on national TV in a span of 48 hours. So we'll talk a little bit about the news and notes and observations from there. We'll also end the show by talking about the Tigers going to play in the Dominican Republic, which I think is super awesome. We're going to start with the big news of Monday, and that is that the Detroit Tigers and the Detroit Red Wings have officially announced the launch of the Detroit SportsNet, which will be distributed by Major League Baseball. Now, a few important notes with that. One is that the Tigers and Red Wings will both be a part of it, obviously. Ilitch Holdings Co., whatever the full company title is these days. So the Wings and Tigers will both be a part of this package that you pay for. Now, distributed by MLB kind of is weird and confusing to some people. They're a package deal, as I just mentioned. So, tough turkey. The Illiches can just be like, well, we own both, so we're not going anywhere unless you can distribute both. But there's similar distribution rights and ownership within, like, who distributes Major League Baseball and who distributes hockey games and whatnot. So the price for it, $20 a month or $190 annually. Technically, it's $19.99 a month or $189.99 annually. So $20 a month or $190 a year. Save a little bit by going with the annual. The Tigers will take effect immediately. The interesting, frustrating, stupid part of it is that the Wings will not be broadcasted this way until their season starts, which means if you are someone like myself who will be watching every Red Wings and every Tigers game in the month of April, you have to have both subscriptions. A little stupid. It only overlaps like 2 weeks, but it does overlap enough where you are going to have to bite the bullet if you want to watch both. This is also essentially the exact same price as what FanDuel was in terms of its monthly or yearly subscription, but without the Detroit Pistons. So you're losing a team and paying close to the same amount. Again, kind of frustrating. In terms of cable and satellite channels and packages, those will be announced on a later date, but that later date is relatively soon. Like, all of this has to and presumably will be ironed out before opening day for the Detroit Tigers. I have a hard time believing they're going to start the season without having a deal with the cable companies in that regard. So we will keep an eye on that. We will obviously, as any and all updates that happen with this, we will talk about on this show. Essentially what this is you are paying the same fee that you paid FanDuel. You are no longer getting the Pistons with that. And in essence, you're getting MLB TV without blackouts. Like you're obviously you're paying the extra fee again, as I want to make that abundantly clear. It's not just, if you get MLB TV, you just get it without blackouts now. No, you still have to pay the package fee. But that is essentially what, if you're going the streaming route, what you would be getting. Through MLB TV is where you will be able to get all of this. I'm sure there will be more and more details about like an exact URL and whatever, but it's just going to be through MLB TV. One of the biggest questions I think will be which cable providers, and within the providers, which cable packages will pick up this new channel, this new network, right? Like I would imagine DirecTV and Comcast or Xfinity, whichever it technically is, will pick it up because they kind of like have to stay in business. So I would imagine that like the big name cable people will. But some of the newfound like streaming based cable providers, YouTube TV, I guess is what I'm like beating around the bush of trying to say, that's a huge question mark. YouTube TV very notably did not carry FanDuel Sports Network within its cable package or its fee. I don't know. Technically it's not cable, it's pure streaming, but it is cable. I don't even know like the correct terminology. Not my line of work, if that wasn't clear. So that'll be a huge question, right? Is this going to be something that is available to all cable and streaming and satellite people? Or is this going to be like, a select few, and then we're going to make everybody else pay? If I have any pulse on how, like big corporations like that work, I would imagine it's going to be the latter, not to like burst anyone's bubble. I am preparing for not having it just be lumped into like my prepaid cable. But again, I don't have Comcast or DirecTV, and I'd imagine that those like the big wigs, I think for sure will have to pick it up in some capacity. But then you have the question of, okay, they can pick it up, but then they can charge, you have to have the sports bundle or package or whatever so still, honestly, quite a few things to iron out. Like there's all this uproar about like, they announced it, whatever. All they really did was say it exists. They still have yet to really give. I mean, there's a price if you're streaming, which is more than we had 24 hours ago. But for everybody that has cable, there's still like all of your questions are kind of still unanswered at the present moment. So nothing too shocking here. Again, more of just an announcement that it does in fact exist. And if you don't have cable, that you have now a streaming option that will be effective. And it will be effective immediately for the Detroit Tigers. Again, it will not take effect for the Red Wings until this fall. We'll see how the dominoes fall on the cable side of things. And the last thing I'll say before we move on to on the field stuff, I really hope that they get something ironed out with the Pistons by the time their next season rolls around too. Obviously, they're not going to get one done this year. The NBA season is almost a carbon copy of the hockey season. If they're not going to put the Wings on there right now, they're sure as heck not going to put the Pistons on there right now. And the Pistons will be on national TV once the playoffs roll around anyway. So really no harm, no foul there, no pun intended. But I would hope that they will be able to work out something with the Pistons. And the Pistons, it's in their best interest too. They don't want to have a solo off streaming option or we're just on FanDuel and we're just going to stay here. So I'm hoping that gets resolved too, and not really resolved, but that gets, ironed out or they become a part of that as well. And hopefully with that, the price would not change too terribly much. So the consumer doesn't get screwed. We'll see. Okay, let's talk about on the field stuff. The Tigers played the Braves. They dropped that game on Monday. We'll talk about what we saw on the field on ESPN right after this. First, though, got to talk to y'all about our good friends over at MLB The Show 26. The greatest game in baseball is back with its newest installment. Baseball fans are going to have a hard time pulling themselves away from the game. Talk about, the biggest name in baseball gaming. It is certainly MLB The Show. I have played every iteration of MLB The Show for almost a decade, and I already have this one pre-ordered. I'm so excited for it to come out. Kind of wish Tarek Skubal was on the cover. That was a rumor at one point. But alas, Aaron Judge, a fine candidate indeed. There's so many new, cool, great features along with it. The My Career is really cool. Road to the Show, as it's called, with, you can play in college now. Obviously, all of the franchise mode stuff. And in Diamond Dynasty, you can use code Locked On after going to MLBtheshow.com/LockedOn. And you will get a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Internet connection obviously required for that. So pre-order now, available March 17th on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, and on Nintendo Switch. Rated E for everyone. Also got to talk to y'all about our friends over at TurboTax. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your tax documents will get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. Just like that, you're done. TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief you've been waiting for, and it is the best. There's a real person walking out, and your taxes are being handled right. So head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, as always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. And we will, of course, be back tomorrow as we keep our spring training and off-season ball rolling here. Really fun next couple of days for the Tigers. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. So thanks for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you want to take your listenership to the next level, be sure to become an everydayer. LockedOnPodcast.com/everydayer, and you will get ad-free audio of this show, as well as access to a members-only Discord server with me and other everydayers in it. So be sure to check that out today. On the field, the Detroit Tigers lose to the Atlanta Braves. Not a whole lot of opening day roster players in this ball game, but a few notes. The pitching side of things, I guess that's the opposite of true. They had Framber Valdez, Casey Mize, a few others that we'll talk about. On the offensive side of the ball was a lot of guys that are kind of down the lineup card. Framber, 3 innings, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, and 3 strikeouts. The velocity was down a hair, but that being said, it was his first outing of the spring, and I think the stuff looked fantastic. The curveball specifically was absolutely stellar. Now, one of the big talking points that I think is going to probably continue throughout the spring and then into the regular season is going to be the infield defense behind Framber. As we talked about when he signed with the Tigers, Framber Valdez is one of the more prolific ground ball pitchers that the sport has to offer. In terms of inducing ground balls, he is quite literally one of the best in the sport over the last 5 years. The Tigers' infield defense has been spotty at best over the last few years. You hope that Javi can hold down the fort at shortstop, or if it is McGonigal, he's looked okay in the spring, but there's certainly been some question marks about whether he is a shortstop at the major league level. They got Colt Keith at third base. That has zero guarantee of working. Gleyber Torres, most of his value comes from the bat. Not a great fielder over his last couple of years. Not terrible, but, not going to win a gold glove over there. And Torkelson, we've talked about plenty, is really good at picking, but is not as good at, everything else that surrounds. So for a guy that induces so many ground balls, you do wonder what the production is going to maybe look like for a team that doesn't have the best defense behind him. So we'll see. We'll kind of keep our finger on that pulse, if you will, and see if that ends up being something that rears its ugly head at some point. But the hope is that the infield defense is good enough and sound. And Keith, he's struggled at the plate so far, but has looked serviceable at third base defensively. McGonigal, again, has looked solid. We know what Javi can do in the field. We know what McKinstry can do in the field. Torkelson, again, if you weigh out the good and bad, has probably been fine there since his rookie year, which was a disaster. So, yeah, just a thought that I had and that a few other people have pointed out over the last couple of weeks. Another, I guess, opening day rotation starting pitcher was used in this ball game as Casey Mize pitched 3 innings, 3 runs, 1 earned, although 0 walks, 2 strikeouts, and a home run against. The velocity was down for him as well, but he still has plenty of time ramping up, etc. The infield defense for him, it's funny I bring it up with Valdez, because the infield defense for Mize was actually a kind of a problem. And part of that was himself. He tried to make a play on a ball that he probably should have let the infield take control and take charge of that one. But not his best day. The big thing with Mize continues to just be, is he going to develop into a more prolific swing and miss starting pitcher? Because that has been one of the big Achilles heels for him so far in his major league career. I thought in this game, the splitter really was offering a whole lot of nothing. Didn't really do a whole lot. The fastball, once the velo gets back up, will be fine. But the slurve to righties, I thought was really effective. I thought it was really good. Got a couple of swings and misses. Solid pitch. And again, with him, it's about just he had a sub-4 ERA last year. It's just about ramping him back up to being ready for opening day, as it is for all the starters. Outside of those two, had a few relievers take the bump in this one. Bo Brisky threw 3 pitches and then was removed from the game, which is very frustrating. He's just had a really frustrating last year or so between injuries and then struggles when he is on the mound. I'm sure he's just itching to get out there with no problems. And it just seems to be, every time he goes out there, it's something else. So hopefully it's nothing. It was rib cage soreness, I believe, was the official diagnosis. So we'll see if that ends up being something that continues or lingers, or if he's going to be totally fine and is back out there in a day or two. Hopefully that is the case. Drew Summers pitched in this game. Command was kind of all over the place, as it has been for most of spring, but 2 strikeouts in 1 inning. We will gladly take that. Did obviously have the walk as well. Mid-90s velocity, which is nice to see. His velo is actually up from where it was when he was at the major league level last year. He's a tough at bat against lefties, man. He really is. Kind of a side armor. And again, if he can get up to 94, 95, we will gladly take that. Has the big kind of loopy breaking ball to pair with that as well. Interested in how he does against righties, as I will continue to be. But no denying that he's a pretty tough at bat when his command is on against left-handed hitting. Offensively, Parker Meadows was the leadoff hitter in this ball game. Goes 0 for 3 with a strikeout. The mechanics look back to kind of what we were used to seeing last year, as opposed to the newfound mechanics he had for the first couple of outings in spring training. He's had a slow start to the spring, no matter where his hands are before the pitcher throws the ball. So looking for him to take some steps forward, get his sea legs back under him. Obviously was hurt for a lot of last year as well, but has struggled really outside of 2 months in 2024 at the plate. So, rooting for him. I am going to be a believer in Parker Meadows until the wheels absolutely fall off. And people, not very many people left on Parker Meadows Island here with me, but I just think the upside and the value of what he could be is far too great to just bail on him. So it's spring. Hopefully he can turn a corner and get going here and get his timing back under. I mean, he had one where Joey Wentz, albeit a lefty, but Joey Wentz threw a fastball pretty much right down the middle with 2 strikes, and Parker Meadows just swung under it. So got to figure something out, got to keep making tweaks, as I'm sure he will. Few other notable performers on the offensive side of the ball. Then we'll talk about the Tigers going to the DR. We will do that right after this. First, though, I got to talk to y'all about our good friends over at FanDuel. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build on any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits your need. You can mix spreads, totals, player props, and more to match how you see the slate playing out. There are so many great odds this time of year, and it is a really fun time to just be a sports fan in general. Go safe, go bold, or ride with your team that you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. So head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Also got to talk to y'all about our friends over at Game Time. MLB opening day is almost here. You can feel it. Fresh starts, big expectations, and that first crack of the bat, whether it's a breakout rookie or a divisional race that goes down to the wire, there's nothing like being in the ballpark for that action. The only problem is getting tickets can feel like a grind. Long queues, surprise fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's where Game Time comes in. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's simple to use, and the Game Time guarantee means you'll get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. And here's the best part. Fees are included. The price you see is actually the price you pay, period. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKED for LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Want to talk about a few other notable position players. Matt Beerling, I think, continues to look really good. Had a walk in this game. But looks good in the field, looks good at the plate. I'm really excited about what he brings to this team that they kind of lacked last year. And there's a lot of reports from all of our fantastic beat writers as well that highlight that Matt Vierling off the field and in the clubhouse is also like one of the more vocal and one of the biggest leaders that this team has. So I really think that there's a lot of reasons why people should be excited about Matt Beerling joining this team, even if he is just like a 2.5 to 3 win player. You know, I say even like that's a pretty darn good season. And if he can do that and you know, be a good voice in the clubhouse and play a bunch of different positions, which isn't really calculated into WAR, and you know, it brings speed on the base paths, etc. There's a lot of things that could go right for him and for the team this year. Kerry Carpenter had a great at-bat in this one. Worked a full count. Started off 3-0. Pitcher threw a couple of breaking balls that Carpenter took for a strike, one fastball in the zone, and then a breaking ball that he fouled off, and then laced a ball at the right center field. I've been very big on Kerry Carpenter. I want to see him draw more walks. It's not about I guess maybe the number of walks in a vacuum. It's about just not swinging at literally everything and just working the count and having at-bats like that as well. If the pitcher knows that you're not going to walk and you're going to swing at anything, you're not going to get good pitches to hit. So it's a balancing act, and I feel like that specific plate appearance, I was really impressed with how he handled that. Looks much better running than he did, on 4 torn hamstrings last year or whatever it was as well. Eduardo Valencia, kind of a give and take game. He looked really good in the batter's box, I thought, and then kind of struggled in the plate, had a couple of balls bounce out of his gloves. So you're kind of seeing why he's added to the 40-man. There's a lot of excitement surrounding the bat, but there's a lot of question marks about where, if anywhere, he can play long-term defensively. Speaking of defense, Jace Young had kind of a rough day at the plate, but a great day in the field, I thought. I thought he looked really sharp at third base, like maybe some of the best that I have seen from him in terms of athleticism and an arm that was on display. So good for him, and that'll only strengthen his case of, getting another chance with the Tigers this season. I think it's noteworthy that John Peck had another start in this game, continues to get a lot of looks, man. He's like, obviously he's not going to make the team out of camp, but is getting a lot of opportunities so far in spring training. And then Brett Callahan, guy that is not a household name, two just absolute missiles in this ball game. One went like 420 feet or something to right field. He hit a home run that hit like the spring training facility out beyond the bleachers in right. But also in the ninth inning, had a like 110 exit velo laser that went right to the second baseman. So good for him. Had a really good year down in rookie ball and then single A, etc. Last year at the plate. So we'll see what we can get out of him. Already approaching 25 years old, was just drafted a few years ago. Now the exciting thing, the Tigers will head to the Dominican Republic. They head to Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, to play 2 games against the DR national team, as the DR team obviously is trying to get prepared. And this is kind of like their spring training before the WBC, which begins later this week. And they will play their games against the Tigers. The cool thing is not only, I guess first off, the Tigers also play Team Panama, but the Tigers will be the home team for that. That will be on Wednesday as well. So they'll do split squad, playing Team Panama and playing Team DR. But one of the coolest parts is the Tigers are one of, if not the only team that is playing these games on the road. And I think that is just so cool. Like, the Tigers are going to play international baseball. Like, they're all these other teams, like Team Israel, I know, is playing the Orioles or something like that and whatnot, but they're going to their opponents' facilities, because obviously these national teams don't have like home fields. But the Tigers are going to the Dominican. So I just think that that's super awesome. I think it's an awesome opportunity for these young players to play, like out of the continental United States, if you will. It's just it's really cool. It's a cool opportunity for them. It's a cool moment for them, and I'm hoping that it's a cool experience, not only on the field but off the field, for everybody that goes. It sounds like they're going to bring a roster of 35 players to the to these games. They will play twice on Tuesday and Wednesday. Ty Madden will get the start on Tuesday. Birch Smith will get the start on Wednesday, but Wednesday, AJ has already said, will be a bullpen game in its entirety. Some of the other players that will be a part of the roster going to the DR: Brant Herter, Ty Madden, Tyler Madison, all catchers but Dylan Dingler. Jose Briseño, I guess technically not as well. He was scratched with an injury, was going to go. And then on Monday, they announced that he no longer would, has a wrist injury, pretty precautionary, it sounds like. In the infield, Javi, Colt Keith, Kevin McGonigal, Spencer Torkelson, Zach McKinstry, and John Peck all will be on there. And there's other names as well. I'm not reading the full 35. I'm just kind of giving you the spark notes here. Riley Green, Max Clark, and Winsel Perez will go as well. Winsel Perez and Tyron Lorenzo, both from the DR. So the Tigers and AJ wanted to make sure that those guys went in for these games as well. So again, plenty other names that are a part of this. I just think it's super cool. So shout out. And we'll recap those games this week. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We, of course, will be back tomorrow. Appreciate you all greatly. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope, and I'll catch you all then, baby. Go Tigers.